Yes, so we thank Elohim for yet another opportunity that He has um, granted unto us to be able to come your way this morning. Um, we exalt Elohim's holy day for the fact that He has seen us through. As many know, we have entered into the Gentiles 2024, and by the mercy of the Almighty, um, we have made it through and we have crossed over another year. Um, and many people have made some resolutions. Um, but if you reflect upon maybe the past year, you will realize that some of you started the year 23 together, but at the end of 23, crossing over 24, um, maybe some friendships have ended and other friendships have been formed. Some family members have died, and other family members were born. And amongst the superstition of a lot of maybe black churches, it was in the month of December that they spent a lot of time in praying and fasting and doing all manner of things because according to them, most people die at the end of the year or December. Whether that is true or not, I do not know. I don't hold any statistics, but people die every month. So that shouldn't be the case. So having entered into 2024, some entered the year with happy news, and others entered the year with sadness and sorrow. And such is the cycle of life, unfortunately. So we thank Elohim for all of you that are still here. Whatsoever you are going through in your private space, if you have happy news, cherish that moment and thank Elohim for it. If you have sad news, learn from that pain and yield yourself to Elohim that He may restore you, and try to look for the reason for that pain. Unfortunately, for many of us, a lot of the calamities that befall us are self-induced. It is just that we sometimes forget the madness of our lives. And then when life comes and checks you, that is when we all are brokenhearted and we start crying and weeping. But when we were doing madness, unfortunately, we did not consider that life has a way of correcting us. So all that we can do for those of us who have repented and are shown the way and have returned unto Yah, that is why we plead for mercies every single moment of our lives. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, we always plead for mercy because we know we have lived messed up lives. So if we are alive today, it is but by the very tokens of Elohim. If you are married today, it is but by the mercy of Elohim. If your parents are alive today, it is but by the mercy of Elohim. If you are in good health today, it is but by the mercy of Elohim. Because unfortunately for us, all of us have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of Elohim. And it is but by his mercies that we are not consumed. So the psalmist says that they are renewed each and every single morning. So you and I are nothing but the very products of the mercy of Elohim. where the earth looks at us and is disgusted, where the seas and the rivers look at us and they are disgusted, but even the animals in the animal kingdom look at us and they are disgusted. And even the very spirits, they look at us and they are like, why do they deserve the chance that we did not get? It is only Elohim, it is only Michael and the seven that stand before us, and of course the Messiah, and they plead for our mercies at Elohim. May you have compassion upon them. So therefore, brothers and sisters, it behooves us to enter this year very carefully. It behooves us to monitor our steps very carefully. It behooves us to take inventory of our lives very carefully. And if you see that there are some areas in your life where things are not going well, go to the Maker and ask him. And if you can observe and see that there are some areas in your life that are going well, go to the Maker and thank him. But whatsoever you do not find yourself away from the safety of the Maker, because the world is in utmost chaos and it has not yet even spiraled out of control, because the days are coming and they are very near that madness will be the order of the day. So may Elohim keep us all standing the more as we see the day approaching. So having said these things, we have entered this year with a new topic. And what we will discuss with today is called the theme for this month, I believe, will be called The Fearful. And today we will focus on the fear of waters, the fear of the seas, the fear of rivers, the fear of what they call H2O. So why did we decide to tackle this? Let us see. So the very introduction, please.
He that overcomes shall inherit all things, in Revelation 21 verse 7.
So the Bible says that as for he who overcomes, he shall inherit all things. So the Bible is already telling you, and it is showing you that this thing called salvation is something that one must take. You must overcome something in order to inherit all things. And I will be his
Elohim, and he shall be my son.
Mm-hmm.
But the fearful.
Now here starts the warning. So the enemy of those who overcome, or the contrary of overcomers, the Bible begins to list them all. So he says, but as for the fearful, those who are afraid, you go through your life, you are afraid. You are always terrified. You are always afraid. So he says, but for the fearful and
unbelieving,
those who do not believe in anything,
and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone,
which
is the second death.
So my outline, modern day believers
put a lot of emphasis on empowering scriptures like Joel 2:28 and run with it, claiming that God now lives within them and therefore they can do all things through Christ who strengthens them. However, if one observes the church carefully, there is a lack of consistency of lifestyle if compared to the believers of old. The church has become a place of theatrics and warfare against so-called unseen forces. As a matter of fact, the number one reason why many people go to churches is because they are afraid of something. Know that I said that they are afraid of something and not because of their reference to their creator. The reason why this fear belief system is perpetuated in the churches has mainly to do with the messages being preached in the churches nowadays. It seems as if at the end of every prophecy or word of knowledge, there is always an evil spirit or a demon that is after you, and therefore you need to pray or fast or give money or perform any other ritual that your prophet tells you in order to escape from imminent danger.
Mhm.
This belief system of fear is not the pure worship that the believers of old professed. The Bible even warns against people that are fearful in life.
Mhm.
For this reason, we will focus on one of the greatest sources of fear, in especially the Black and African churches. This being the fear of the waters, the fear of the sea, the fear of marine spirits and sea creatures.
Mhm.
The intent of today's teaching is to look at how the saints of old perceived the waters and now Elohim looks and uses water for his own glory.
Mhm.
That all praise be due unto the Almighty as we proceed.
That is the short and concise introduction. So you know exactly what is coming your way. The table of content, please.
We'll look at the role of water in creation.
Mhm.
We'll look at the angels of the elements,
Mhm.
the world in the sea.
Mhm.
We'll look at fear is the belief in something evil.
Mhm.
And we'll look at how did the prophets of old perceive water
Mhm.
and then conclude.
So basically, it is straightforward. It may take many dimensions, seeing how it will go, but we will manage and we will finish in time. So we'll look at the very role of water in creation. We'll look at the very angels of the elements, because water is an element, which unfortunately many scared folks forget. We'll look at the world in the sea. This one will take a bit longer because there is a world in the sea. We'll look at the fear, which is the belief in something evil. We'll look at how did the prophets of old, or how did the people of old perceive water. And then we will conclude with some verses. So, first things first, the role of water in creation. And notice how the Bible begins.
Genesis 1:1.
So, this is the very book of Genesis 1:1, Bereshit, Ebandeli 1:1. It says, in the beginning.
Elohim created the heaven and the earth.
So, the beautiful thing about how the Bible starts and how it ends, it says, in the beginning, Elohim. That short sentence is already a Bible topic on its own. In the beginning, Elohim. He created the heavens and the earth.
And the earth became without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
And darkness was upon the very face of the deep. And darkness was upon the very face of the deep. And the spirit
of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters.
Are you seeing this? Now, we are speaking of the beginning. You will see there were certain elements that were there from the beginning. It's that in the beginning, Elohim created the very heavens and the earth became without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the very spirit of the Almighty was hovering upon the face of the waters. Before anything was, darkness was, and the deep was. And it is out of these substances, darkness, the deep, and the waters, that Elohim made all things to consist of. It is just like you, and every woman will tell you how pregnancy even starts. It is in the darkness of the womb where pregnancy starts. And as the child begins to grow, the child grows within the darkness of the womb, which is covered by water. What you have to understand about the world and yourself is that you are a microcosm of this planet. And at the same time, this planet is a microcosm of the universe. So you are being reflected on every layer. So verse 6 says, and Elohim said,
let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And Elohim called the firmament heaven. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning.
So stop there. What you have to understand here is the Hebrew word for water is ma'im. And the Hebrew word for the heavens is the shamayim. Why is it so? It is because of what you are reading here. Elohim literally made a line, and he separated the waters from above with the waters from beneath. From the waters from beneath, he made a place, and he made dry land to appear, and that is what we call the land. However, from the waters above is what we call the heavens. So the very heavens themselves consist of waters. Are you realizing this? The very heavens themselves consist of waters. Yet people are so afraid of what is happening under the sea, but everyone wants to go to heaven. So what do you think you will find in heaven? That is, if you go to heaven. But no one is going to heaven. So you want to jump into the heavens, but the heavens is also seas. When you look at the cloud, you are amazed. The clouds are also seas. So let that sink in as we continue.
Verse 8, and Elohim called the firmament heaven, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the second day. And Elohim said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And Elohim created great whales and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Plain and simple. No need to explain. Jubilees 2:11. And on the fifth day,
he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters.
So these great sea monsters, which you are so afraid of, Elohim made them in the depths of the waters. For these were the very first things
of flesh that were created by his hand. The fish and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds and all their kind.
Are you seeing that? Also, they were made from the substances of the waters. So Psalms 24:1, the earth
is of Yah,
and the fullness thereof,
the world and they that dwell therein.
For he has founded the earth
upon the seas,
and established it
upon the floods.
You are afraid of the sea. You are afraid of the waters. But the Bible is telling you, Elohim has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. Don't you know that even in the very heavens of heavens, where the throne of the Father is, the Bible says, behold how he sits upon a throne, and his floor is made of a crystalline water base. So he literally sits upon the seas. The Bible even says, as for his voice, it has the sound of the many waters. There is no way you can separate Elohim from the waters. There is no way you can separate Elohim from the waters. We always pray, oh, he's the God of fire. He's the God of fire. We sometimes even ascribe to him saying he's the God of fire. No one says he's the God of the seas. But you should call him that as well. So we are continuing. Revelations 5:13. And every creature
which is in heaven
and
on earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying,
blessing.
and honor and glory and power be unto him that sits upon the throne.
So it is telling you that the rivers themselves, the creatures that are in the sea, every day they also sing praises and worship Elohim. So this is just the beginning, so that you may start thinking differently concerning this phenomenon called the sea or the waters. So the next slide.
The role of water in creation.
We are continuing with that. So water is a substance
composed of the chemical elements hydrogen and oxygen, and existing in gaseous, liquid, and solid states.
That's why when I said the clouds themselves are also waters, people were like, whoa. It's because water is a very strange element. What fire cannot, water can. Because water can come in three forms. Water can come in the form of
gas.
In the form of gas. It can literally come in the form of gas. That is how you see the clouds. They are water-based. That's how you see the mist. They hold the dew. When you say the dew of heaven, it's cloudy, but when you walk somewhere and it is dewy, what you will realize is if you continue walking, you will become wet. Because it is water-based. It also comes in liquid form, which is the water which we drink, which I'm drinking now, agua, which is in liquid form. But it can also come in a solid state, which we call ice. So continue reading. It is one of the most
plentiful and essential living organisms. Life is believed to have originated in the aqueous solutions of the world's oceans. And living organisms depend on aqueous solutions such as blood and digestive juices for biological processes. Water also exists on other planets and moons, both within and beyond the solar system. Water occurs as a liquid on the surface of Earth under normal conditions, which makes it invaluable for transportation, for recreation, and as a habit for a myriad of plants and animals. The fact that water is readily changed to a vapor or gas allows it to be transported through the atmosphere from the oceans to inland areas where it condenses and, as rain, nourishes plant and animal life. Because of its prominence, water has long played an important religious and philosophical role in human history. In the 6th century BCE, Thales of Miletus, sometimes credited for initiating Greek philosophy, regarded water as the sole fundamental building block of matter. 200 years later, Aristotle considered water to be one of the four fundamental elements in addition to earth, air, and fire.
Exactly. So that is that. And then I wrote down most of the human body
is water
with an average of
roughly 60 to 75%.
So if you are an unhealthy person, the minimum percentage of water you can have is 60. It means you are almost dead. If you are healthy and well balanced, you will have around 75% of your entire body consists of agua. So you look at the picture on the right, the brain is 75% agua. The blood, 83 agua. Your heart, agua. Your bones have the least percentage, but even your bones are agua. Muscles, agua. Your liver, agua. Your kidneys, agua. Around 75% of what makes you is agua. And then we will jump, as I said, you are the microcosm of this planet. Now let's look at the very earth itself. So the earth is a watery
place. About 71% of the Earth's surface is water covered, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of all Earth's water.
Now, can you imagine this? Now, if you look at the picture on the right, about 71% of our entire planet is covered in agua. And then 12% of it is agriculture, 7% is intact, 10% is under conversion, meaning it is being converted into being agriculture. And the human habitation is how much percent?
0.05.
So what are monsters like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg telling us? When they say, oh, the earth is crowded, and they have this crazy drive to go to the moon and to go to Saturn so that we can live in Saturn and Venus. Telling us, no, the earth, there are too many people. According to Bill Gates and these people from their clubs, the earth's population is overpopulated. At least 50% of mankind must die in order for us to thrive. However, why would they not put all of those resources that they want to put in us going to Saturn? Why won't they put it into conquering more seas so that more land may come, so that more people may live? You see the madness of these people? You think Elohim will make a planet and say this is where humankind will live, and then not factor in the fact that mankind will grow exponentially? The population of the earth can be 100-folded, and the planet will still be enough. But if you believe Nephilims like Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, they will send you to Neptune and the moon to be closer to their father. So don't believe these lies when they tell you, oh, the earth, there are too many people. And because of that, now they have decided their own people don't want children anymore. But as for Bantus, we must rage on and multiply, because there is plenty on Elohim's good earth. Right? So this crazy Plato himself made a very interesting quote. He says, it is water that
in taking different forms constitutes the earth, atmosphere, sky, mountains, gods and men, beasts and birds, grass and trees, and animals down to worms, flies, and ants. All these are different forms of water.
Exactly. So having established that, let's now go into the angels of the elements. We are slowly building up to reach the climax of that fear. So the angels of the elements, Jubilees 2 and 2, 4.
On the first day, he created the heavens which are above, and the earth, and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him. The Malachim of the presence, and the Malachim of sanctification, and the Malachim of the spirit of fire, and the Malachim of the spirit of the winds, and the Malachim of the spirit of the clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the Malachim of the voices, and of the thunder, and of the lightning, and of the Malachim of the spirits of cold and heat, and of the winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and on the earth. He created the abysses and the darkness, the eventide and the light, dawn and day, which he has prepared in the knowledge of his heart.
So pause there for a second. So there is a reason why Moses called Elohim, you are the father of all spirits. Because what you have to understand is everything that is created has a spirit. And that spirit is created by Elohim. So when we say, oh, fire in its nature and essence is a spirit. So there is the spirit of fire. There is the spirit of the sea or the spirit of water. There is a spirit of darkness. There is a spirit of light. What that means is Elohim has made governing agents for everything within his creation. And what people sometimes forget and we credit the devil with so much is that you have it in your mind and think, oh, I can't go to the seas because the devil is there. Yes, it is true the devil is there. Of course he's there. The devil is also in your house. The devil is also on the land. The devil is everywhere. Even when Elohim convenes and has his council, the devil is also there. So the fact that the devil is there does not mean that he is in control. Because the devil can only be in the sea if Elohim first created the sea to be. And that sea that he created, it has a spirit. And that spirit itself, so I'm not talking about the spirit of the animals in the sea. I'm talking about the spirit of the sea. That one is also created by Elohim. That's what you must understand. That's what you should never forget. So Moses said, you, Elohim, are the master and the father of all spirits. So if we are clear on that, let us continue.
2nd Enoch 19 verse 3. These are the archangels who are above angels, who measure all life in heaven and on earth, and the angels who are appointed over seasons and years, the angels who are over rivers and sea, and who are over the fruits of the earth, and the angels who are over every grass, giving food to all to every living thing.
Pause. So apart from the spirits of the elements that we just read, Elohim also then made what we can call supervisory spirits over the elements. So for example, yes, the sea in itself is an element and it is a spirit because the sea is living. The sea is conscious. However, that is level one. Level two is, apart from the spirit of the sea, there is also a supervising spirit that is watching over the sea to see whether the sea obeys Elohim or not. So these are the levels of security. So Enoch is telling you, these are archangels who are above angels. They measure all life in heaven and on earth, and the angels who are appointed over seasons and years, the angels who are over rivers and sea, and who are over the fruits of the earth, and the angels who are
over every grass, giving food to all, to every living thing.
You see, all of these are under the control of Elohim. So Daniel 4:13, I saw in the visions
of my head upon my bed,
and behold,
a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven.
Now we are going into the specifics. Daniel says, and behold, in the visions of the night, I saw and behold, there was a watching angel, which is an archangel, and a holy one. He came down from heaven. Their mission is to watch. Watchers can either watch over mankind, but they also watch over elements. They watch over everything that Elohim has created to see if things are in order. So Job 7:12.
Am I a sea
or
a whale
that thou
settest a watch over me?
You see that? It stands to reason that there are watchers whose objective it is to watch over the sea. When Elohim said in the book of Psalms, when I created the seas and I gave it a decree, I said, thou will not pass beyond land. When he made that decree, he appointed a watcher to see whether the sea obeys. Because have you never sit down to consider and ask yourself, if we mankind make up 0.05% of this planet, and 71% of the planet is the sea, and we overtake only around 20% of the planet, and 10% is under conversion, It means if the sea wanted to, it would have destroyed us easily because it is 70%. So the sea is the boss. We have around 20%. So if the sea wanted to, it would just flood us. Easy. It would just drown us. Easy. It will be like an adult fighting a baby. Do you know what you can do to the child? You can take the child and you can throw him in the air. And then when you throw him in the air, you take some seconds to decide. Will I catch the child or will I drop him? That is what the sea can do to us. So don't you ever wonder, what is the reason that the sea is calm? Despite of the madness, it is because of the decree of Elohim. Are you realizing that? So we are slowly building our case. So we are continuing on the angels of the elements. Revelation 7:1.
And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
Repeat the last statement. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given
to hurt the earth and the sea.
You see? To whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. And the funny thing is, all of this that we are reading, have you read something about any demon here?
Not at all.
There is no mentioning. There is no mentioning of any demon or booga booga spirit. This is all the government of Elohim. This is all the very government of the Almighty. Why do you think the name Almighty comes from, people? So there are angels who are given the power to hurt the planet, including the sea. So first Enoch 20:1.
And these are the names of the Kodesh Malakim who watch. Suriel, one of the Kodesh Malakim, for he is of eternity and of trembling. Raphael, one of the Kodesh Malakim, for he is of the spirits of man. Raguel, one of the Kodesh Malakim, who take vengeance for the world and for the luminaries. Michael, one of the Kodesh Malakim, for he is obedient in his benevolence over the people and the nations. Sarakiel, one of the Kodesh Malakim, who was set over the spirits of mankind, who sin in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the Kodesh Malakim, who oversee the Garden of Eden and the serpents and the cherubim.
So we listed down the 7 principal watchers. And of the 7 principal watchers, there are 4 who the Bible in Revelation 7:1 describes as the 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. Now, we know that the 4 corners of the earth, they also represent the wind directions of the world.
Cardinal points.
The cardinal points of the world. So one stands on the north, one on the east, one on the south, one on the west. Now, the 7 that Enoch identified, the principal 4 are, so I wrote down Archangel Michael,
represents the element of fire in nature and the south wind.
So he represents the element of fire in the nature, and he stands at the southern cardinal point of the earth. That is Michael. Archangel Gabriel
represents the element of water in nature and the west wind.
So he's in control of the west wind, and he represents the element of agua or water. Archangel Raphael
represents the element of air in nature and the east wind.
Archangel Uriel
represents the element of earth in nature and the north wind.
So just so that you know that we are not making things up, there is a link below. You can look it up for yourself, but we don't just use links, secular links. But as you just said, That is why you see Revelation says, I saw 4 angels on the 4 corners of the earth. We identified who the 4 are, and the book of Enoch made it complete. So just so that you understand how everything is controlled and governed by Elohim. Even the very darkness that people are so afraid of, Elohim, he is the master of darkness. So as we call him sometimes, oh, he's the Lord of light, you should also call him, you are the Lord of the night. He is the master of everything. There is no domain that the devil can claim to be his own. Even the kingdom of hell, which is the kingdom that Elohim made, and he gave it to them. He said, you will not disturb my people where they are. This is where you people will abide. Ask the devil if he made hell himself. He will tell you, made who? Because he cannot create, he can only corrupt. That's what you must understand. Now ask me something now. The one who corrupts and the one who creates out of nothing, who is more powerful? These are some of the logical reasoning that we sometimes forget because of fear. We give so much credit to the enemy, to the devil, because of fear. Not forgetting that Elohim is the only one who did not create himself. He was. And as he was, he made everything. Even the one that people are so afraid of, Elohim made them. Elohim made them. So these are the 4 angels of the 4 elements. And we highlighted Gabriel, and we will continue a bit with this Gabriel. So now we enter into, I think our tempo is quite good. So now we enter into the world in the sea. The world in the sea. So Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice,
Ye heavens,
and ye
that dwell in them,
and woe unto the
inhabitants of the earth and of the sea.
Repeat that. Woe unto the
Inhabitants of the earth and of the sea.
So what is it telling you? It is telling you that there are inhabitants in the sea. There are inhabitants in the sea. There are entities living, and they are living their life in the sea. And they're also doing service in the sea. And the angel is saying, be careful to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil
is come down unto you.
Do you see where now they mention, after all that we have discussed, you see where now they mention the devil? You see where they now mention the devil? When the devil came, things were already made. All he comes is he enters and he spoils. We would be impressed if he came somewhere, there was nothing, and he created. But he comes and things are already there. And all he does is spoil. That's what the Bible says. The enemy cometh but to steal, to kill,
and destroy.
Why does it not say the enemy cometh to create? Because he can't. So we are continuing. For the devil is come down to you, having great
wrath,
because he know it,
that he has but a short time.
He even has a timeline. So ask yourself, who gave him time? When you consider these things, you begin to see the power of the one we serve. He gave him time, and the devil is so panicked because he knows, oh, my time is almost up. So if your time is up, why won't you create extra time? Because he can't. So Revelation 5:13, and every creature
which is in heaven and on the earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sits upon the throne, and unto the Lamb forever and ever. Verse 20, and Elohim said,
So if you look at Revelation 5:13 carefully, what you will understand is they are speaking of the three worlds that we know. So they are saying, and every creature which is in heaven, that is one world, and on the earth, which is another world, and under the earth, which is another world, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I say, blessing and honor and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne. So it is telling you that there are more worlds than we know, even though we live on this earth. In every world, there they gave glory unto the Almighty. There they give glory unto the Almighty. So Genesis 20, I think it's, no, it's not 20. It's Genesis 1:20. And Elohim said, let the waters
bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And Elohim created great whales, and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly, and after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good.
Jubilees 2. You already read that one, so you can read it a bit faster. 2:11. And on the fifth day,
he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hand. The fish and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds and all their kind. First Enoch 20 verse 7.
Gabriel,
one of the Kodesh Malakim, who oversees the Garden of Eden,
and
the serpents,
and
the cherubim.
there's a reason why I highlighted the serpent in yellow, and the serpents and the cherubim. The cherubim are the covering ones. Revelation 7:2. And I saw another
Angel
from the east,
having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea.
So I wrote down in gold, Gabriel
is the archangel. Gabriel, the archangel, is the covering cherub of the seas.
He
controls all the waters and has the power to smite or heal it.
So this is so that you are clear on this. Remember when Elohim created all his domain and all his things? If you read in the book of Genesis, it will tell you, and he looked and he saw that it was good. However, what you have to understand is there is a right side of things and there is a left side of things. I just showed you the governing order of Elohim and the world in the sea according to how Elohim made it. If you keep this in mind, you will be intact, understanding that Elohim is in control of all things. However, now comes the caveat. I will now take you to the other side of the world in the sea. And this is that side that they put emphasis on in the black churches. That's why it's very strange. A doctrine of a European or a white person and a doctrine of a black will always be different. A doctrine of a European, even though they stole it, it is not based on fear and enticing. Look at people like crazy Joel Osteen. He has no time to discuss hell. He has no time to discuss even demons. He teaches people how to make money. He teaches people how to make money. Now remove Joel Osteen and take Papa Duncan. He will never teach you finance. He will teach you demons and how to fight demons. I was watching this all night that they had, and I felt pain in just by listening to them, I felt pain. I was like, Papa, you're almost 60 something. These prayers of yours, don't you feel? So I was like, don't you feel any? So I was like, what life is this? And then you put on Joel Osteen and Joyce Myers, and they speak of blessings. They speak of having a jet. I'm like, if I could choose, I would rather go to Joel Osteen, because I will be relaxed and maybe make some money. If I follow these African witch hunters,
Pressure.
you will die you will die early. You will die early. So I showed you the world in the sea. These are the things that we should talk about when we are talking about the sea, how Elohim made it. But unfortunately, all these things is out of our scope. When we think of the sea, all that we think about is what I will deal with now, the other side of the sea. Revelation 12:7.
And there was war in heaven.
Now listen carefully. And there was war in the Shamayim.
Michael and his angels
Mhm.
fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not.
So stop there. And there was war in heaven. And who fought?
Michael and his angels.
Did Elohim fight? Did Elohim fight? So even when we say, that's why you have to be careful. We say our enemy. We don't say Elohim's enemy, because Elohim has no enemy. That's sometimes we forget these things. Elohim dispatched Michael and said, my lieutenant, take over. Take over. So the Bible says, and Michael and his angel
fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time.
So now you understand the context of Revelation 12:7, and especially the statement made in Revelation 12:12 a bit more now. Remember how Elohim made all things. He said, behold, it is good. But now the angel is revealing to you in verse 12 that after the war in the heavens, Satan was cast down on the earth. And as he was cast down on the earth, he began to corrupt things. That is why the angel made a proclamation and said, rejoice, O heavens. Why? Because the troublemaker is cast down. So now we have peace. That is what the angel is saying. The heavens are now in peace because the troublemaker has left his habitation. And then the angel looked and said, however, woe to the earth
and to the inhabitants of the sea.
Why?
For the devil is come down unto you,
having great
wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time.
So this is now where the calamity and the issue comes in. As he was cast into the sea and on the earth, he began to corrupt some of the creatures of Elohim. He began to spoil them. He began to mix with them. He began to mingle with them. And he began to do all manner of madness. And he began to take over. I won't say take over. He began to sit on certain domains and make it his own. So Job 41:1, it says, canst thou draw out
Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord, which thou lettest down?
Isaiah 27:1. It says, in that day,
Yah with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent,
even,
Leviathan, that crooked serpent,
and he shall slay.
the dragon that is in the sea.
You see? So who is this Leviathan? Jude 1:6. And the angels,
Which kept not their first estate,
but left,
their own habitation,
he hath
reserved in everlasting chains under darkness
unto the judgment.
of the great day.
Revelation 9:13. I will explain soon. And the sixth angel
Sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before Yah,
saying,
to the sixth angel which had the trumpet,
loose,
the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
loose the four angels bound. I think this was the Seneca River, or was this the Niger River? What was Euphrates again?
Niger.
It was the Niger. So he's saying, loose the four angels
Which
are bound in the great Niger River. And the four angels were
loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men.
These are the areas, unfortunately, where they focus on in the church. Oh, be careful. Don't go into the sea. Why? Because there are sea serpents. No, be careful. Don't go into the sea. Why? There are sea dragons. Don't go into the sea. Why? Some even dare to say, because the sea is the kingdom of the marine spirits. It is the kingdom of the devil. You should not go into the sea because God gave us the land and the sea belongs to the devil. And you are a minister. And these are your statements. These are your statements. Yeah, because the Bible says, behold, the Leviathan, the prince of the sea, he sits there and he controls everything. You know how everything. Hey, people. And because of this, we are terrified. But what you are forgetting is Gabriel is also one of the serpent ones. And these are things you forget. Don't be fooled by all the beautiful pictures that we are now placing of so-called black angels, and they look like light people. They are terrible entities to behold. And we are speaking of the good ones here. Why do you think every prophet, when he beholds one, he says, and behold, I was like dead. So the level of panic, terror, and fear. So, and what happens is, the reason why it says, and I was like dead is, it's because you have never experienced the extreme level of fear. You know what fear can do? Fear will paralyze you to the point where you can't move, you can't speak. You are paralyzed by fear until one touches you and says, fear not. And because of that, the good angels of Elohim, when they appear, they take on human form, just so that you will be at ease. Because you would run for your life if Gabriel appeared in his natural form. And because of that, they take on friendly forms. Friendly forms. So it is telling you that, behold, in the world, in the sea, Elohim made an entity, an angel, a fallen one called Leviathan, and he bound him there. And he's not alone. There are 4 others with him. So we are continuing building our case. The world in the sea, Revelation 12:7. I think 12:7 you already read. So, no, read it again. And now we will explain and we will continue.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
Mhm.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil
Mhm.
and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So I wrote in gold, when Satan
And his hosts were cast down. Some fell in the lower heavens, other on the earth, and others in the sea. This started the corruption of the world.
Exactly. So this started the corruption of the worlds. And I wrote down, just like Elohim
Has a set up government, has set up
has a set up government,
in the physical and spiritual world, spearheaded by his four princes, so also has he allowed the fallen angels to also set up their government with their four princes.
Mhm.
These four princes act as the counterparts of the four princes of Elohim.
So be careful there. I literally wrote down these four princes, they don't act as the counterpart to Elohim. The thing with Elohim is what we call an immovable force. He's an immovable force. You can't move him. He is what we call the absolute. He's the constant. Everything around him moves. He moves not. So what he did is these four princes, they don't act as the counterpart to Elohim. No, they act as the counterpart to the four princes of Elohim, which you already identified. Now, these four counterparts to the princes of Elohim are
Samael, prince of the east and over the fire element.
So he's the direct opposite of Michael. He's the prince of the east and
the fire element.
So he also controls fire, but on the left side of things. Meaning, if his fire can dominate nature. If you are in the fallen nature, his fire can also dominate you. However, his fire cannot dominate Michael's fire and all those that are with Elohim. It is just like when Moses had a showdown with the Egyptian magicians. You saw what happened. Moses casted his stick, and his stick became a serpent. And what did Balaam and his sons do? They also casted sticks. So from a natural viewpoint, it was serpent against serpent. However, the serpent of Moses was able to swallow up the serpent of Balaam. It is the same. Samael stands also being the angel of the east, the governing guardian of fire from the evil side. And he's in opposition to Michael, but Michael is stronger. And then we have Lucifer,
the shining one.
He's the prince
of the air.
He's the prince of the air. So he controls the element of the air. Then we have Belial,
prince of the north and the earth element.
And he is the ruler of the planet. He covers the earth element. And then we have Leviathan,
prince of the water element.
Who is the prince of the water element. So Ephesians 2:2, wherein in time past
ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, that spirit that now works in the children of disobedience.
So when Shaul made this statement, he was privy of these things. So in reference to the prince of the power of the air, he's there referring to Lucifer, the shining one. So this is something which you must understand. It must be clear in your mind. It must be clear in your mind that all that the devil does is he copies Elohim, and Elohim for a season allows him to do so. So it's just like we have the four princes of Elohim and the four angels of the elements, we also have the four princes of darkness, and they also have some control of the elements. However, unfortunately for us, all that we focus on are the world of darkness. That is why Christianity is so messed up. That is why Christianity is so messed up. That is why you see people are so afraid. I remember myself, I was also so afraid, exactly like Shalom when he gave his testimony, I think yesterday, about his trauma for the sea. I tell you, the fear I had for the sea. The fear I had for the sea. So in my mind, it was as if I considered Elohim is everywhere, but not in the sea. In my mind, I was like, no. As for the sea, the devil is champion. And where do you think I learned these things from? Because I went to the church, of course, for many years. When was the last time your pastor had a positive message about the sea? It doesn't exist. There's never been a positive message in the church about the sea. All of us, heaven. There is more mentioning of hell in the church than the sea. Because what does your prophet always see? I entered into the realm of the spirit. And his realm of the spirit, it always brings him to darkness. So I'm wondering, like, do you sleep there or something? All that we focus on is this world, or the princes of hell, or Leviathan, the prince serpent, or you are afraid of serpents in the sea. Not knowing that, yes, and this is why I said I won't lie to you. Depending on where you are and who you are and where you stand, if you go into the rivers, depending on who you are, you may see things. You may see things. You may see a good entity. You may also see an evil one. And now comes it, you may also hallucinate. Yes. What people don't know is it is even scientifically proven. Fear can make you hallucinate. Because the truth of the matter is, listen, if you are blessed to see spirits, you don't discriminate. You see spirits. However, if you are not blessed to see spirits, but all that you can see are spirits in the sea, it is not true. It is because of fear you hallucinate. What am I saying? Let's go to the next slide. Sirens and
demons of the sea.
Now this was my biggest fear. This was my, oh la la, me, river, sea. That's justice, he will tell you. This was, as the Christian would say, God. This was my biggest fear. I was like, so every time I saw a sea, just like Jimmy, let it be blue so that I can see. If the water is troubled and I don't see what's beneath, me go there, never. Because in my mind, I was like, the moment I jump into the sea, an entity will strangle me. And you have to imagine, I did not learn these things of my own. Movies. That is why I always say television is the prophetic TV of evil spirits given unto the blind. Because it is through television where you are being trained and indoctrinated. And unless your mind is already somewhere, you can't just watch anything. Shalom said he watched the Nigerian movie and he said he was traumatized. And I said, I understand. I was also traumatized. The fact that I can now look at such an image and not feel anything, it is by the mercy of Yah, because even this small innocent image, I could not behold it. My mind will go into panic mode. So I wrote down, Enoch 19:1. And Uriel said to me,
Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods.
now verse 2, and their women
whom the angels have led astray
shall become
sirens.
Now, what you have to understand about sirens, if you read into Greek mythology, what the word siren means, it means a seducing sound. That is all that it means. That's why when you go to the police and to the firemen, when they are driving past in a hurry, what do they put on?
Siren.
That's why it's called sirens. It means a screeching sound, an alarming sound, a sound to attract. Because in Greek mythology, sirens are entities that are of mixed breed, half human, half deity. And what they do is they swim across shores, this is mythology, and they sing unto mankind, especially unto sailors. And when they begin to sing unto the sailors get hypnotized, and they begin to drive towards the cliffs, and then they crash against the cliffs and they die. That is the origin of sirens. And in Greek mythology, they were not only half human, half fish, others were half human, half birds. So they have two forms, and they can take on many forms. And why am I telling you all this? I will get there. 2 Baruch 10:18. Baruch says, I will call
the sirens from the sea
and
Lilith
and the Shedim
of the desert.
Isaiah 34:14. The wild beasts
of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island.
Now listen carefully. And the satyr
shall cry to his fellow.
the screech owl, which the Strong's Concordance interprets as Lilith,
also shall rest there
and find for herself
a place of rest.
Revelation 17:1b. It says, come hither.
I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters,
with whom
the kings of the earth have committed fornication,
and the inhabitants
of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
Now, why have I placed all of this? Because I'm building something here. Because, as I said, the African perspective of the Bible and the European is different. The African perspective of the Bible, unfortunately, is even worse than the European version. It is worse. It is absolutely worst. Why? Because, as I said, fear is the number one pillar that they build their doctrine on, including the topic of the sea. That is why you see, we Black people, we have a hate-love relationship with the sea. Black people don't swim. And even though it has been scientifically proven why you don't really see Black people in the Olympics swimming, not all things are spiritually per se. It is the same reason why you don't see white people in the 100-meter dash. You put Usain Bolt and a white guy, and they both train. The white guy stands no chance. It is because of our morphology and the way Black people are made. We excel in shorter sprints because of our explosiveness. And the same thing that causes us to excel in things like 200, 100-meter dash is the same thing that causes white people to excel in swimming. They have an advantage there that we don't have. So that area is not per se spiritual. However, it is true that when it comes to the sea, our conception of marine spirits and deities of the river, we have it all wrong. Why won't you swim? Every black person will tell you, I won't swim because of, we call it mami water. I won't swim because of mermaids. That is our number one black African fear when it comes to the sea. However, look at Europe. Ask a black girl, why are you afraid of the sea? Even a child that is 6 can tell you, I'm afraid. But ask a European girl, don't you like the sea? She will tell you, yes, I like it. I want to swim. I want to be like Ariel. What they are not afraid of, we are terrified by it. Because this was made by Disney. And parents took their children and they went and they beheld and they enjoyed and they ate popcorn. Now, I wonder if you could make a census and account of the ethnicities that went to the Little Mermaid, how many black families would you see? I wonder. All because of fear and panic. However, let me give you some background so that you will realize that what you should fear, you don't fear. And the fantasy in your mind, that is what you fear. And that should be changed. Why? Because I can read the yellow part now. I wrote down the European concept
of the seducing spirit that comes from the sea is a more accurate depiction of the origin of sirens. Unlike the modern African concept of a scary sea demon trying to kill you and pull you down when you are swimming, the role of the siren is a way more subtle.
That is the issue. Unlike the African, I'm afraid because a woman, fish woman will drown me, a scary woman. No, the role of the siren
is way
more subtle than you realize, and has to do
with the seduction and the pulling away of the souls of men into spiritual and physical immorality or fornication. According to Enoch, sirens are the lost souls of the woman who seduced and had relation with the fallen angels. As a punishment, Elohim has cast them into the deep to roam forever, awaiting their punishment. Being therefore familiar spirits or evil spirits from the sea, they can still possess human beings and exercise influence over them.
So stop there. So if you have been following our teaching so far, we already explained to you what familiar spirits are. These are spirits of people who lived and died in wickedness, and their souls were condemned to roam the places where they lived. Now, sirens are familiar spirits of the lost souls of the women who seduced the angels of heaven. Elohim not only punished the angels, but he also punished them and cast some of them into the sea to roam there forever. So being familiar spirits, therefore, they can seduce and possess men, as I wrote down, continue.
And exercise influence over them. These seducing spirits are the ones that govern over all prostitutes, whoredoms, and sexual perversions in all forms and subtlety.
So now we are, once again, as I said, starting. So these are the seducing spirits that are over things like prostitution, things like whoredoms, and all manner of sexual perversion. They are the ones that are influencing and promoting these things.
Yeshayahu the seer identifies this evil spirit as Lilith and its male counterpart as Satire.
Now, I don't have time to speak about Satire. I don't know if when the minister will talk about demons, I don't even know if he will touch this, but we will see. I will only focus on, as I said, the sea. Now, the same thing Enoch saw, Baruch saw, Isaiah also saw it, and Isaiah called it Lilith. Isaiah called it Lilith, and its male counterpart is known as the satyr. Now, I wrote down, both are seducing spirits
that reign in Edom.
You will see it reigning in Edom, because the whole Isaiah 34, it is speaking about the judgment of Edom. And Elohim is telling you that there are two principal spirits in Edom which he will destroy: the screeching owl, or Lilith, and the satyr, because they bring about pollution. So this spirit, this Lilith, or this marine spirit, they especially operate in Edom. And so I continue reading from where you left off.
Yahuchanan the Revelator, or John the Revelator, confirms this by identifying this seducing spirit as the whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed many fornications. We know this woman.
Stop there, please. And this is the connection that unfortunately the African misses. This is the connection that many people miss when they speak about sirens and the seducing spirits. Oh, marine kingdom, we have to fight against the marine kingdom. And in your mind, all you are thinking about is, oh, I have to fight marine kingdom because they are the spirits that can pull me down when I want to swim. This is the short-sightedness and the madness of this world. Because now John is giving you the missing link, and he's building up from Isaiah and the prophets of old, and he's telling you that, behold, I saw the whore sitting upon many waters. So continue reading.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed many fornications.
Start over from Yahuchanan, the prophet.
Yahuchanan the Revelator confirms this by identifying this seducing spirit as the whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed many fornications. We know this woman to be Edom, aka Rome, aka Europe, aka America, aka Mystery Babylon, the mother of all harlots. In the modern day churches, this seducing serpent spirit is known as the spirit of divination, through which false...
Stop there, please, because there is so much in what is written here that I have to unpack it. Because you see how we're building up? Enoch says something, Baruch takes over, and he gives a bit more. Because Enoch only calls it sirens. Baruch comes and he says, no, these are sirens, but it is also Lilith. Isaiah comes and says, hey, behold, this is Lilith. It is linked unto Edom, and the counterpart is the satyr. Yahuchanan, the Revelator, comes and takes over and says, behold, this whorish woman, because I told you, these are spirits that go over whoredoms. And then he identifies it now with a nation. And he tells you that, behold, it is the woman that sitteth upon many waters. And we made the connection as we dealt with the book of Revelation. And I wrote down, we know this woman to be Edom. And we know Edom is Rome. And we know Rome is Europe. And we know Europe is the father of America. And we know America is the forehead of Mystery Babylon, the mother of all harlots. So not only did we, that is stage one, we linked it to a nation. That is why you will see, if you look at Europe, who is the one in control of all the madness in the world, people? It is the United States. And who is the financiers and who are the fathers of the United States? They are all immigrants of Germany, England, Italy, the Netherlands. Those are their fathers. Now, what has America not done to the world? If iniquity will be taught, it will come from America. if sin will be promoted, it will come from America. The American government, the European government, they now go into the African nations and they threaten sovereign states that if you do not endorse homosexuality, IMF will cut his funds. So Mugabe came and said, we want to tell you that we are not gays. I don't know if you heard that statement, Mugabe. So this is the thing you should fear. Unfortunately, Africans, all they see is the image, and that's all they panic about. But when they said America, that is the true representation of these fallen spirits, because they have taken over a country. These are things that your mind is too small. You can't fathom the depths of hell. You can't fathom the depths of hell. Whilst all these influences, they are coming from the sea. Why do you think the Bible said, behold, the beast that came out of where? The sea. This is where these seducing spirits come from. So that is one of the layers. And another layer I wanted to unpack is, now continue reading from the mother of all harlots. And then I wrote down, in the modern day churches,
this seducing serpent spirit is known as the spirit of divination, through which false prophets like Jezebel like to operate. This spirit is the Kundalini serpent spirit, masquerading like the Holy Spirit, and is a reason for the great falling away of the church and the many false doctrines.
This is again another layer, and it all ties in together. Because those who know Revelation 17 and Revelation 13, it shows you that this beast that reigns, it reigns on all facets of life. This controlling spirit, this kingdom of darkness, they reign by military power, economic power, entertainment, education, but they also reign by religion. Now, the way that these marine spirits also find expression in especially religion is that it also represents what? The Catholic Church, which we know is who? Is the mother of every Christian denomination. It comes from the Catholic Church. So this is also how this seducing spirit seduces and entices the world. That is why the Bible calls her the mother of all harlots. I don't know if you guys are seeing the link. I don't know if there are questions, because it is imperative that you get this.
No question.
And if you don't get it, there are some things you have to
re-listen.
You have to listen to it again and again and connect the dots. Because it is essential that you understand this, so that you see how all ties into the mystery of iniquity. So if there are no questions, we are now continuing. Why are we continuing? It is because you fear the so-called sirens in the sea, but I explained to you the link with Europe, the link with America, how this governing spirit seduces all the nations. However, they come even closer to home now. The next slide.
Sirens,
Proverbs 7 and 10. So the heading is Sirens and
the spirit of seduction.
So Proverbs 7 and 10. And behold,
there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot,
and subtle
of heart.
She's loud
And stubborn.
Her feet
abide not in her house.
Now is she
without.
Now
in the streets.
And lieth in wait
at every corner.
Now behold, these are the ones that we say are possessed by these spirits. Now tell me, do you find them in the sea? You find them everywhere. You find them everywhere. On the bottom right picture, you see this lady, and you see the camera guy making the picture. The woman in question is Nicki Minaj. She's the same lady you see on the right upper picture. It's her. You see her waist. You see the nails. You see the eyeshadow. You see the face, the posture, the demeanor. She's 100% possessed by the seducing spirit of the sea. That is why she even makes clips now, posing as a what?
Mermaid.
A mermaid. Why? They are telling you in plain sight who they are. That's why I'm telling you the things that you should be careful of, you are not careful. But you believe in fantasies and spirits in the sea, which we have never seen. 99% of mankind, you'll go into the sea, you will swim, you won't see the spirits that are there. It is given to but a few. However, 100% of mankind, you will see these spirits incorporated in flesh in the people around you. So you see this Nicki Minaj, she makes a video clip where she portrays like the woman that comes from the sea. And you see her on the right corner. These are the ways and her means. And the Bible calls this a woman with the attire of a harlot. Now, the picture on the right screen, upper screen, is written there, the Little Mermaid inspired
Makeup.
People, these are the real things that happen. You yourself, ladies, you know how you act when you put on makeup, and you know how you act when you don't have makeup on. When you have on makeup, how do you feel? You feel sexy, don't you? You feel on top of the world. You feel so secured. You put on your eyelashes very long so that when you look at a guy, just by the looks of it, you can draw them in. What you don't understand is you are singing the siren song. You are pulling in men. You are singing the siren song. You are singing the siren song. And then look at the picture on the left bottom. These women, you would think that they are at a club, but there are some that come into the church like this, and they will prefer to sit up front where the preacher man is preaching. So ask me, what possesses these ladies to behave in such manner? So now you are seeing the full scope of these marine spirits and the thing that you should be careful of, and not the fantasy, or one will pull me under the sea. It won't happen, because if they had the power to do that, they would have killed us all. They don't have such power. They have the subtle power to seduce you to self-destruct. That is the fine art of their power. That is why they are called seducing spirits. So because of time, I have to conclude this part here. But I think it is clear now. So let us continue. Fear is the belief in something evil. Revelation 21:8, it says,
But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and
please,
brimstone.
because of time, I was reminded, back to the slide. Because this is why the Bible says the commandments of Elohim are able to make one wise. Why? Now you ought to realize why the Bible says, and we emphasize and say, women do not put on makeup. When we say these things, we come across like extremists. But we have showed you many times over and over again how the fallen angels inspired the craft of makeup. And because of this, the Bible says that immorality increased. So these seducing spirits, they work hand in hand. That is why the Bible says, a woman shall not wear that which pertains unto a man, nor a man that which pertains unto a woman. For all who do such things are an abomination unto the Almighty. You, a lady, African lady, were endowed with body. You put on leggings and pants and you walk around. What do you think you are doing? Even if it is not your intention, your body has an intention. So you are seducing men, meaning you are an agent of these marine spirits who lost their physical bodies, but now through you can still exercise their seducing ways. That is why, even though there is a commandment that comes your way and you don't understand it, you don't have to understand it to follow it. In the process of time, when the revelator comes, he will shine light on the commandments of Elohim. And then you will understand, this is why Elohim said, do this. This is why Elohim said, don't do this. You ought to have that level of confidence of trusting Elohim, in that even though this commandment, it sounds extreme, it is extreme to you because you don't understand the subtlety of sin. So in Elohim's wisdom, without explaining much, he tells you, don't. Just follow it. And in the process of time, I will begin to explain all things. So that is why we are like this to our sisters. Sisters, avoid these makeup madness. Avoid these marine spirit hair. Some of you, even the fake hair you put on, what is usually written on there? Mermaid hair. You know it. So do you see how all these things now are connecting? So avoid these fake hair. Be natural. These mermaid lipstick, makeup, be natural. Decent skirts. Don't walk around with the intention to seduce. Fear Elohim, and in Elohim's own time, he will connect you with someone to be with you. But do not become the agents of marine spirits to walk around and seduce men and lure them in with your siren song. So that was what I wanted to say. So let's go to the next slide. Now, fear is the belief in something evil. Revelation 21:8, and it says,
but the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Now, Elohim here is telling you, and this is what we forget, we ought to stand up against fear, because Elohim is telling you, if you are someone who's so fearful, you will not enter into his kingdom. So if you have an uncontrollable fear for the waters because of the monsters that live there, Elohim is saying, you will not make it. Now listen at the contradiction. Genesis 9:2. So we who are afraid of the waters, The Bible says in Genesis 9:2, and the fear
of you,
of you, mankind, and the dread of you
shall be upon every beast of the earth,
and
upon every fowl of the air,
and
upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea.
into your
hand are they delivered.
You see? Think of these things. You are the dominant species. It is you. Now the lexicon, Strong's H172, mora, which is 1A, fear, B,
reverence,
C,
terror.
So I wrote down, fear is a
distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc.
Now, whether the threat
is real or imagined,
the feeling
or condition of being afraid.
So as I told you, when you reach a certain level of fear, it can influence your brain to the point where you begin to hallucinate. To the point where you begin to see things that are not there. It is because of fear. Now, in juxtaposition to fear, because it says fear is one. Fear, it can also mean reverence or it can also mean terror. So I took Malachi 1:6 and it says a son
honors his father
and a servant
his master.
If then I
be a father,
where is my
honor,
which means
reverence.
And if I
be a master,
where is my
fear?
Where is my
fear?
And then said Yah of hosts. And then he says, O priests
that despise my name.
And ye say,
wherein have we despised thy name?
Elohim is saying, because you offer
polluted bread upon my altar.
Meaning, you teach people the wrong doctrine. Bread stands for the word of Elohim. Elohim is saying, you people, you don't have my fear, O priest, O leaders, O teachers. And they ask him, why not? We speak of you. Elohim responds and says, ye offer polluted bread
upon my altar.
Your doctrine is the wrong one. Upon my altar. And ye say,
wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, the table of Yah is contemptible.
In that ye say, the set apart doctrines as Yah has prescribed them, we don't like it. We don't like it. So Romans 10:14, it says, how will they believe
in him of whom they have not heard?
And how will they hear
without a preacher?
So then, this is key, faith
comes by hearing,
and hearing
by the word of Yah.
Don't you understand that everything you have come to believe comes because of what you have seen and what you have heard? Don't you understand your belief system is predicated upon the messages that you have been consuming? Now, what are the messages in the African churches with regards to the waters? As I told you, can you remember when was the last time your pastor had a positive message about the sea? Everything with regards to the sea in the African churches is scary, is negative, is darkness. And because of that, your belief system with regards to the sea is always that you are so afraid. And because of this, Elohim is disappointed. And he's telling ye, oh, ye priests, I am disappointed. Because you offer polluted bread upon my altar when it comes to what they should fear. So I wrote down in yellow, fear
is the antithesis of faith.
So fear is the contrary of faith. It is the driving force
of Satan and evil spirits to control you.
It is the belief system
in the negative. Both Elohim and the devil are reliant on your belief system in order for them to actualize their will on your life. You must therefore be very careful and critical of our belief system and dare to ask the ugly question like, What are we afraid of?
So sit down and take inventory of your fears and ask yourself the ugly questions. What am I afraid of? Because Job said something very interesting. Who knows what he said? Job said, the things that I fear, they have come upon me. They have come upon me. They have come upon me. So take inventory and begin to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And why am I so afraid? Have we seen that which we fear before? The things you fear, have you seen them before? I'm afraid of spirit. Have you seen one before? So it is a figment of your imagination. You haven't seen it. And yet you fear it. And because of that fear, it is crippling you from reaching your potential. It is crippling you from reaching your potential. It is crippling the hand of Elohim upon you because you are afraid. What experience have we had with the thing which we fear? And then I wrote down, if there is no experiential knowledge
Of that which we fear, where is it coming from then?
these are questions you must answer yourself. And then I wrote down, it is out of our belief system.
That our entire world is framed around.
To the blind,
Everything is dark.
To the fearful,
everything is scary.
to the optimist,
Everything can be solved.
those who believe in demons,
We'll see demons in dreams and visions.
and those who believe in Elohim.
We'll see Elohim and the host of heaven.
That's it. That explains why you, oh son of man, every time you enter the spirit realm, you always see people bewitching people. You always see crazy entities and demons. You claim to be of Elohim, but you always announce what is happening in the kingdom of darkness. You are possessed. You are possessed. So people, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear is that which cripples you. So you must put off fear and begin to walk in the faith of Elohim. Cast off fear. Look it in the eye and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And then you will see that whatsoever I fear, Elohim is above it. And that thought, Elohim is above it, will make you calm down. So because of time, we have 10 minutes. We will see how did the prophets of old perceive water, and then we are done. 8 minutes. So Haggai the Egyptian, Genesis 16:7, and the angel
Of Yah found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness,
by,
the fountain in the way to Shur,
and she called the name of Yah,
that spake unto her,
thou,
El Roy.
for she said.
Have I also here looked after him that seeth me?
So when Haggai was at the fountain of the well, and an angel appeared,
Hagar.
why did or Hagar, why did she not say, oh, I see a water demon? She saw the angel of Yah close to a fountain of water. Why? It is because of the way that her belief system was wired. So Moses, the prophet, Exodus 14:21, and Moses
Stretched out his hand over the sea,
and Yah
caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night.
and made,
The sea dry land,
and the waters
were divided.
and the children
Of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And Yah said unto Moses, Stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen.
And Moses
Stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength.
And when the morning appeared,
And the Egyptians fled against it,
and Yah
overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea.
So when the people were crossing over, it is not the Red Sea. This is the African Sea of Reeds where this occurred. So when they were passing over the sea, people, if these marine spirits are so powerful, would that not be the perfect occasion to drown them all? I mean, they are no longer on the land. They have decided to enter the domain of the marine's kingdom, as the African pastors would say. Would this not be the occasion for the piercing serpents, the marine spirits, I'm the queen of the sea? Why did she not at that moment put them down? The Bible says, by the stretching forth of the hand of Massa, the sea stood in attention. And there was no spirit that was able to bring back the sea in its natural order. People, this is the power of Elohim. And this is how the prophets of old perceived Agua. Now, next slide. Elisha the seer.
In 2 Kings 2:13.
He took up also the mantle
of Eliah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Eliah that fell from him and smote the waters and said, Where is Yah Elohim of Eliah? And when he had also smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. And when the sons of the prophets which were to view at Jericho saw him, they said, The spirit of Eliah doth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
So people, another question. Maybe these marine kingdom, when they saw the children of Israel, they were like, no, there are too many people. There are too many people, so let's remain calm. But now again, this time, Elisha is alone. He smites the sea opens, and he begins to cross the sea. Pay attention now, he's alone. So this would be a better occasion for the spirits to come and drown him. However, who came? Where were they? No one was there. Why? Because Elohim is the boss. And this was done by Elisha the prophet, the bald-headed prophet. Now, another example with the same man. Some verses down, verse 19. And the men of the city said to Elisha,
Behold, I pray thee,
the situation of the city
is pleasant as my master seeth,
but the water
is not.
Meaning the water is not sweet to drink. It is bitter, salty water. And the ground therefore is
barren.
And then he said,
Bring me a new cruse and put salt therein.
And they brought it
to him.
Now listen, this is the key moment. He is so prophetically endowed, and his eyes are open. He discovered by the telescope of the spirit that I have to go to the source, as the prophets do. So he went to the source of the sea. And what did he do?
And he cast the salt in there.
And then he said, Oh, marine spirit, the queen of the coast, the queen of the river, I wrestle with you. I bind you. I destroy you, marine spirit. What did the prophet say?
Thus saith Yah,
I
have healed these waters. There shall not be from thence any more death or barren land.
People, are you reading this? Do you see the peace, the tranquility, the power and dominion the man exercised? He said, oh, the water is salty. No problem. Let me show you the power of Elohim. I will not take sugar so that you will say, I have sweetened the sea. I will also take salt. And then he brought it to the sea. He poured out salt and said, oh, agua. And he began to quote the book of Genesis. And he knew Gabriel is in charge. So he said, agua, I have healed thee. I have healed thee. Verse 22, and so the waters
were healed unto this day.
Now listen to this key verse. According to the saying
of Elisha, which he spake.
Plain and simple. People, so ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Another example, Ezekiel the seer. Ezekiel 1:1. Now it came to pass
in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kibar.
Why was he among the captive? By the river
of Kibar,
that the heavens
were opened, and I saw visions of Elohim.
No, I saw visions of marine spirits because I was close to the sea and it is their kingdom.
I saw visions of Elohim.
People, water is the very nature of Elohim. It is the very substance of the Almighty. He was by the river Kedar, and behold, there he saw the visions of Elohim. By the river Kedar, he saw the 4 living entities. If you want to talk about scary beings, these are scary beings, but they are Yah's scary beings. And he saw them by the river. Now jump to Daniel the seer, Daniel 8:1. In the 3rd year
of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
And I saw
in a vision,
and it came
to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai.
And I was where?
By the river of Ulai.
So what is the reason why these men keep on seeing angels of Elohim by the river? Why don't they see crazy spirits and demons and whatnot by the river? Why do they see good angels by the river? The mystery is you will see angels close to rivers and nature. Why? Because there are not a lot of people there, and therefore there is not much sin there, and therefore they will be more comfortable appearing there. They will avoid cities and places where a lot of people are because of the iniquity found there. And the reason why you see, especially the African rivers now, are filled with madness is because we and our negative thinking and the way we speak concerning the seas and the river, we have literally driven out the angels of Elohim from these places. So that is why you even see nations like Africa. Everyone should have fresh drinking water there, because Africa has more rivers than every other place in the world. Yet the peoples in Africa, they starve and have no drinks to eat, because the angels have cursed the seas for us, because we have cursed the seas for them. That is the issue. Because there is no negative message that can come with regards to the sea. So the angels are like, you know what? Fire burn you. As we have spoken, so let it be. So let it be. Now jump to verse 16, where it will tell you who the angel was that he met at the river Ulai. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai,
which called and said, Gabriel.
And said, who?
Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
So you see, the angel who appeared there on the river was Gabriel the guardian. Because of time, we are continuing. Jonah. Jonah. So this should be a good example, again, to see demons and stuff. So Jonah, 1:1. Now the word of Yah
came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai,
the
saying,
son of Amida, and said,
Arise and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of Yah, and went down to Joppa, and he found the ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of Yah. But Yah sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea.
So Yah is the one who regulates the sea. It's as if you are in your house, you are cold, you put on the temperature. You are hot, you put down the temperature. You want some storm, you put on the ventilation. That is how Yah regulates things. He's like, hey, Jonah, what? He just takes a button and he presses it, and then the sea begins to roll with the wind.
But Yah sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Then said they unto him, Tell us, verse 8, we pray thee, for whose cause this evil is upon us? What is thine occupation, and whence comest thou? What is thy country, and of what people art thou? And he said unto them, I am an Hebrew, and I fear Yah, the Elohim of heaven, which hath made the sea and the dry land. Then were the men exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, Why hast thou done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of Yah. And he said unto them, Take me up and cast me forth into the sea. So shall the sea be calm unto you. For I know that for my sake this great tempest is upon you. So they took up Jonah and cast him forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging. Now Yah had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
So another example. This time, it is even worse. Elisha and them guys, they were at the shore, and they split the sea, and the sea was open, and they walked on dry ground. This time, they are in the midst of the Atlantic Ocean. And they take up Jonah, and they cast him in the midst of the sea. So this was the perfect chance, once again, for Leviathan and these demons to kill Jonah. As a matter of fact, they didn't have to do anything. They could just let Jonah drown and die. But the Bible said, behold, Yah prepared a great fish
to swallow up Jonah.
So where are these spirits you are afraid of? Yah prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. Now, chapter 2, verse 1. Then Jonah prayed
unto Yah his Elohim out of the fish's belly,
and said,
I cried by reason of my affliction unto Yah, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heard my voice. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered Yah, and my prayer came in unto thee, into thine set-apart temple.
Now he is saying, when my soul fainted, and this is key, when I'm so afraid and tormented, all you have to do is remember
Yah.
It will make you calm. When you are afraid, in panic, remember Yah. And he said, when I remembered Yah, and then when I remembered thee, my prayer came in unto thee. Because when I remembered Yah, I realized Elohim is bigger than my fears. And the moment that's what you realize, the angels quickly take your prayers and they say, Elohim, you are acknowledged. And immediately Elohim is like, rescue the guy, because he understands that it is I, even I. And besides me, there is none. That is key. And immediately as he said that, the Bible said, and Yah spake to the fish,
and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land.
People, this is the one we serve. Last example, then we conclude. Now the Messiah and his disciples. This one, we'll read it quick. Luke 8:22. Now it came to pass,
On a certain day that he went into a ship with his disciples, and he said unto them, Let us go over unto the other side of the lake. And they launched forth, but as they sailed, he fell asleep, and there came down a storm of wind on the lake, and they were filled with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we perish. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased, and they were calm. And he said unto them, Where is your faith? And they, being afraid, wondered, saying one to another, What manner of man is this?
You see what he asked them? He said, Hey, people, where's your faith, man? He told them, why are you so afraid? Now, again, Matthew 14:32, and straightway Yahushua
Constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side.
He
while
wanted to
sent.
teach them a lesson. So he told them, take your stuff, take the ship, and go to the other side.
Before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away.
Mhm.
And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went unto them walking on the sea.
People, and he went in unto them, not swimming. He started to walk on the sea.
And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit.
And they saw him and they were like, what? And the thing with this is, that is why I said, people, they are not imagining. It is normal for them to say, hey, it is a spirit, because at least they see something. But you are afraid. What have you seen? So they saw someone walking, and they saw there was no boat, and someone was just walking. They were like, hey, Molimo. They were like, hey, it is a spirit. So, and they cried out for fear, but straightway
Yahushua spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer.
And he was like, calm down.
It is I, be not afraid. And Kepha answered him and said, My master, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water.
And he said,
Come. And when Kepha was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahushua.
But when he saw
the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying,
You see, that is what I told you with fear will always cripple Elohim. The moment you are afraid, you lose the power of Elohim. And that thing which you fear controls you and becomes your God. So when Cephas saw the Messiah, he was empowered and he believed and said, if the Messiah is there, I can also make it. And what happened? On the basis of his faith in the Messiah, he was able to walk for some steps. But when the wind came and he began to be afraid, his fear took over his faith and he began to sink. That is what I want to demonstrate here. Fear will overrule your faith if you let it grow. Your faith must be stronger than your fear in order to overcome. Because of time now, let's skip John. The examples are clear. Conclusion, and then we are out of here. Psalms 29:3. The voice of Yah
is upon many waters.
The Elohim of glory
thunders.
Yah
is upon many waters.
Yah sitteth upon the flood.
Yea, Yah sits king forever.
People, don't make any mistakes with who is in charge. Now read Isaiah 43. But now thus saith Yah,
that created thee, O Jacob,
and he
that formed thee, O Israel.
Do not be afraid.
For I have redeemed thee, I have called thee by name, and thou art mine.
When thou passest through
the waters, I will be with thee.
Don't let these African scare tactic prophets fool you. Oh, I saw a spirit of the sea and it came after you. You should ask him, you saw a spirit of the sea came after me. Why are you not seeing the marine spirit possessed sisters here and women here with all of their mess on? These things you can't see, but you see a spirit in the sea of spirit, as they said. Elohim is saying, people, don't be afraid. Even though thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee.
And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee.
Psalms 104, verse 20:4. Oh, Yah,
how manifold are thy works! In wisdom thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches, so is thy great and wide sea.
Now listen at this very carefully. So is this great and wide sea, it is thine work. And it says, wherein are things creeping,
Innumerable,
both small
and great beasts.
There go the ships.
There is that Leviathan.
Now here is key. There is that Leviathan who's the prince of the seas, whom thou hast made
to play therein.
So Elohim made him and he allowed him to play in Elohim's kingdom. But it says here, these wait all
upon thee,
that thou mayest give us them
their meat in due season.
So even Leviathan waits upon Elohim, that Elohim may give him what he needs in due season. That thou givest them,
they gather.
Meaning, what you allow for them to take, only that can they take. Thou openest thine hand.
They are filled with good.
Thou hidest thy face.
And they are troubled.
Thou takest away their breath.
They die.
That is it. Elohim take away their breath, and they are no more, and return to their dust. Thou sendest forth thy spirit,
and they are created.
And thou renewest the face of the earth. The glory of Yah
shall endure forever.
Yahuwah shall rejoice
in his works.
People, it is well. Shalom.